Hi, Lauren from the Mineral Body here, just continuing on our series on the 12 primary biochemical minerals, and today we're looking at mineral number 9 here in Australia, which is sodium phosphate, or natrium phosphoricum, natrium phosphate, natphos, all names for the same mineral. So, sodium phosphate. This mineral's primary role in our biology is the control of acids in the body. So, for the regulation of the overall pH of body systems, sodium phosphate is indispensable here. This is the mineral that the body uses to break down acids, to catabolize them into a more soluble form, to synthesize acids and make them passable via the kidneys. There are many different acids that form in our body due to just basic functions, even just breathing. So in order to exhale carbon dioxide, a byproduct called carbonic acid is created, just the union of carbon dioxide and water. This will create carbonic acid. This in itself needs to be dealt with. When we eat foods, eat substances, acids are produced. Many different foods are acid causing in the system, and we will need this mineral to be able to synthesize those. Anything that is fatty, greasy, very protein rich, all of these are acidic in nature, fatty in nature, and we need this mineral in order to break those down. So, for anybody who's had issues with acidic conditions, reflux, heartburn, arthritis, gout, that kind of thing, this mineral will be indispensable. Another thing that this mineral is very important for is the breakdown to be able to metabolize both fats and sugars. This mineral is needed. So in this day and age, when most everything is just loaded with sugars, this mineral is a very important one to have some knowledge about and to have on hand, really. And it's not just the sugars, fats, and proteins. Anything that is denatured, anything that is packed full of preservatives, which is almost anything that comes in a package these days, it's going to be chock-a-block full of preservatives. Anything full of preservatives is a denatured food. It is no longer a natural food. And these foods will need natphos in order to metabolize, to break down, and to deal with the acids that these products produce in our body system. So I would like to read a direct quote from Dr. Schussler himself in regards to this mineral. Okay. So, natphos. The fluids of the body contain both alkali and acid, but deficiency in acid never occurs, because it is organic and, like albumin, is always present in sufficient quantities when proper food is taken. As it is necessary, absolutely necessary, that a proper balance of lime phosphate molecules, calcium phosphate, must be present to work with albumin and properly distribute it and incorporate it into bone and other tissue, so it is absolutely necessary that a proper amount of the phosphate of soda, natphos, sodium phosphate, be present as a worker with acid to combine with it and thus form new compounds. Thus it will be seen that an excess of acid is a misnomer, and that the true way to put it is a deficiency of phosphate of sodium. And here again comes in the creative power inherent in the organic salts. Organic matter has no creative power, no more than has a brick. The bricklayer, given a supply of bricks, possesses the power to create the brick wall. The inorganic mineral salts have the power to create, when furnished with the proper material. But the material is always present. It is the laborers that are scarce in disease. The only trouble that ever arises is a deficiency in the workmen, in the minerals. A lack of proper balance of the alkaline cell salt in gastric juice will allow ferments to arise, and so retard digestion, and the lining quickly becomes involved, aggravated. An insipidation of bile occurs, and bilious diarrhea or other bilious disorders then follow. For such conditions, sodium sulfate must then also be administered, although a balance of sodium phosphate would have prevented such results. So basically, an imbalance in mineral number 9 in sodium phosphate will allow the gastric juices to become out of balance, out of whack, and this results in imperfect digestion, which then creates fermentation and byproducts from this fermentative process. So the byproducts of this imperfect digestion will then aggravate the mucous membranes, the lining of the digestive system, and this aggravation and these byproducts that have been produced will then need another mineral number 10, sodium sulfate, to help us purge, cleanse from the system. So sodium phosphate would have prevented this altogether, but if you were low in the sodium phosphate and you've then got yourself into this bileless condition where the membranes are now aggravated, inflamed, upset, and in need of cleansing, now we need 2 minerals to rectify this situation. So that's one example where a slight deficiency in this mineral can quickly start to cascade and cause more deficiencies. So a very important mineral to have some knowledge about. So this mineral, it keeps us alkaline. And in this day and age, it's so easy to get into an acid condition. So for the fat and sugar metabolism, very important. Vital for the breakdown of lactic acid. So lactic acid, anytime you've exerted yourself, used the muscles, engagement of the muscles will, as a byproduct, produce lactic acid. This is the pain you feel after quite a good workout, when you've really given your muscles a good working out. The ache and the pain that you might feel for up to a few days after that. That's the buildup of lactic acid in the tissues. So supplementing sodium phosphate after a workout will assist in your body's breaking down of these acids, in the dissolution of the pain-causing element here. So one could be taking it both internally and applying it externally to any of these areas where you are experiencing these pains. So uric acid, which is another acid that we can find causing issues in the body. So uric acid, anybody who's had any issues with gout, you're probably familiar with uric acids. Uric acids are going to be a problem, will be encountered when the body is breaking down purines. Uric acid is a byproduct of the breakdown of purines in the body. And purines, it's an aromatic compound that's found in quite a few different foods. In alcohols specifically, in shellfish, some seafoods, some meats, hams, turkey, liver. Purines are quite widely distributed in all sorts of different foods. And to break down these purines, we will release some of this uric acid. And uric acid, if it is in excess in the body, it can absolutely contribute to conditions, cause even conditions such as gout, painful conditions. So if you are experiencing anything like this, or you've been told to, say, find a purine-free diet, another option is to just begin supplying the body with the sodium phosphate, the element it needs to biologically process these chemicals, these substances that are present in natural foods, in many different foods that we come into contact with. So instead of just trying to absolutely avoid all of these foods, one should just begin supplementing the minerals involved with the breakdown, the metabolism of these substances. So should gout, rheumatoid arthritis, any of those kind of conditions be upsetting you, supplementing sodium phosphate is going to be hugely beneficial there. So any of the typical acidic conditions such as heartburn, reflux, that kind of thing, that is a surefire call that you need more sodium phosphate in your diet. So one way you could supplement this dietarily is ingesting more things like avocado, tomatoes, coconut, or celery, especially if you know that these are being produced in an organic way in a place that respects an ecosystem. So any kind of huge monoculture, any kind of mass production, if you're buying these things from Coles, it's probably not going to be giving you adequate sodium phosphate. If you grow these yourself, absolutely you can be giving them healthy compost, you can be planting them straight in the ground and allowing an ecosystem to occur where we have true nutrient exchange, where we have an ecosystem, basically. If you want good, healthy produce, you need to have soil that's full of fungus, full of bacteria. When the plant puts its roots down into the ground, those roots aren't what is pulling in the nutrients truly. The roots themselves set up a perfect environment for bacteria to set up. And the roots emit substances that the bacteria eats. And the bacteria is what is breaking down the elements in the soil and creating a byproduct that the roots can actually uptake. It is the relationship of the roots and the bacteria and the fungus and the soil, the ecosystem, that creates the uptake ability, the true nutritional value. Any huge-scale monoculture is not going to have this. So therefore, the products of which are going to be deficient. They are going to still look like food, but the ratios of nutrients will be completely thrown off because any kind of mass-produced monoculture is overloaded with NPK fertilizers. The ratios are all off there. They tend to be very gung-ho on the pesticides, the fungicides. They're creating a sterile faux food. And this isn't going to be able to remedy your deficiency. But if you can source a good, natural, well-grown option, you will be able to just dietarily supplement your nat phos needs. So either by growing the food yourself or by finding an actual organic and truly ecologically sustainable food, you could get your nat phos through that. Otherwise, if you can't find a source like that, or you can't afford it because, eating organic, eating truly organic is not very affordable in this day and age. If you can't manage to source this for yourself, then I would advise supplementing biochemically with mineral number 9 to remedy these issues. Okay. So, this mineral will treat greasy skin due to its ability to metabolize fats, grease, lipids, proteins. So, greasy skin is a surefire sign you are having issues metabolizing fats, metabolizing these lipids. And now we're seeing the evidence of that in the body trying to push these excess lipids out through the skin. And when the body is doing that, you're going to have aggravation in the skin. We'll have blackheads forming due to the grease. We could have tough, stubborn acne forming. We can end up in a condition where the skin is just greasy. We'll wipe it down, we'll wash it, make it all nice and fresh, but half an hour later it's greasy again. Greasy hair as well is another sign of this dysregulation in the fat metabolism. And all of these conditions, nat phos is going to bring remedy for. So I'd be applying it topically to the skin. You can get it in a cream form, or you can just dissolve the tablet onto the face. Either way. And I would also be taking it internally too. All things begin internally before they express externally. Another very important function this mineral performs is that of regulating the bile. This is especially important for anybody who has had their gallbladder removed. Therefore, they have no bile storage, no ability to recycle their bile. If you don't have a gallbladder, then there's no bile storage. And what this means is that bile is necessary for digestion. Anytime you eat, we need to be producing bile to assist in the digestion. If you don't have a gallbladder, there's no more recycling. This means that we'll be constantly drawing on the constituent parts that we need to manufacture bile with. This means we're burning through these substances much more than a person with a gallbladder is, who has the ability to recycle some of this vital material. So if your gallbladder has been removed, you may have noticed that you suffer more from fatty meals, hearty meals. These things are more difficult for you to process. And this is because it's more of a draw on your system. It's more taxing. You can help. You can help by supplementing the minerals involved with bile creation. One of these is sodium phosphate. Another one is sodium sulfate. So this mineral also targets the lymphatic system and the lymph fluid. An excess of sugar or an excess of protein, either of these can cause trouble for the lymphatic system, and it can end up causing congestion in the lymphatic fluids, thickening the lymphatic fluids. If this thickening is due to excess sugar, excess fats, sodium phosphate is going to be hugely nourishing and assist in thinning that lymph back to a more usable state. Any sign of lymphatic swelling, soft swelling of the lymphatic tissues, have a think about what your diet's been like over the past few weeks. If there has been a fair bit of sugars, acids, protein substances, NatPhos could be hugely beneficial there. And I would also be looking at potassium chloride just due to its affinity for the glands and the lymph. Both of these minerals taken together will surely bring relief for the lymphatic system. Also targets the nerves and the stomach. An acidic condition can be very aggravating to the nerves. And interestingly, like many of the minerals, excess acidity in the body will also lead to you being emotionally more caustic. An acid individual will be quicker to react. The nerves are they're quick to react, and they're often quick to react in quite a biting, acidic way. You'll say things that are a little bit more cutting, more harsh than you meant to. And some of this is due to the acidity in your body. And this is manifesting itself in acidity in your emotional behavior, which is pretty profound. As I keep saying, as within, so without. So this mineral is found in the blood, heavily found in the blood corpuscles, in the blood cells themselves, but also all tissue fluids. It's found in the nerves and the brain cells, very much in the muscles as well, and all tissue fluids. So this is quite a broadly dispersed mineral with quite broad ramifications. So we can take this mineral 3 tablets up to 3 times daily, and if you pair it with number 11, silica, this imbues the body with the power to not just break down acids, but break down acid crystals. So when the body becomes deficient in what it needs to break down a substance within the body, it's still left with the conundrum that it needs to get rid of these inflammatory substances, the substances that are causing trouble. If we don't have the exact mineral required to break down the chemical causing trouble, then the only other option is to encapsulate it and store it somewhere. Just get it out of circulation. So oftentimes conditions like arthritis in the joints, this condition is caused due to a buildup of acid crystals in the joints. The body needs to store them somewhere. It needs to get them out of circulation, so it's not just in the blood aggravating everything. The body would prefer if it's just in one spot aggravating one thing. So storing these acid crystals in the joints is one method the body uses. Unfortunately, this is quite painful. The pain in arthritis, the pain in gout are these acid crystals. So to dissolve the crystalline acids, we need not only NatPhos, sodium phosphate, but also the mineral intelligence of silica. We unite both of these minerals and we give the body the power to dissolve these acid crystals and to take the pain out of the joints. And this will reduce the inflammation, reduce the pain. It will begin to dissolve this condition. So a very useful mineral. So applications do involve acid reflux, like we spoke about, acne, arthritis, blackheads, boils, calculi. So calculi is just the medical term for kidney stones. So this is just hard deposits of minerals in the kidneys. This mineral's job is ensuring that many different products that are filtered by the kidneys are made water soluble. It is the catalyst that allows us to turn a lot of these products into more soluble products, making it easy to pass through the kidneys. If we have a deficit of this mineral, then should the body try and flush these pre-catalyzed products through the kidneys, we can be left with this mineral buildup that the kidneys couldn't process, and these will calcify and turn into these calculi or kidney stones. This will assist with cystitis, so urinary tract infection, bladder infection, just inflammation of the bladder in general. This can be a sign that the bladder is being asked to pass things that aren't. There's more pressure being put on the bladder than there should be. So NatPhos should have been in adequate enough amounts that anything passing through the kidneys had already been processed into a more soluble state. If we don't have the nat phos, then we have these raw products getting put through the bladder, and it's stressing the bladder, it's causing inflammation, it's aggravating the tissues, and this can lead to UTIs, cystitis, the inflammation of the bladder, so pain, aggravation on urinating, even to the point of blood being visible urinating, which obviously is a very aggravated bladder. So another common acidic condition like dyspepsia, this mineral is going to be hugely beneficial for. Gout, like we spoke about. Gastroenteritis, when it is chronic. If you have chronic digestive issues, this could be a very strong sign that your gastric juices are fairly regularly imperfect. This could be due to perhaps dietary choices, but perhaps it's just the deficiency in nat phos, making it difficult for you to metabolize these substances. Anything protein rich, fatty, full of lipids, or anything just on the acidic side, all of these are going to require this mineral to process perfectly via the body. If we don't have enough of this mineral, then these natural substances are going to be causing trouble as we try to process them through our biology. So heartburn, indigestion, joint pain like we spoke about. For obesity, now, this mineral's job is metabolizing fats. Should we run too low on this mineral, we are going to have a buildup of fatty tissue, of adipose in our tissue. Obesity itself, I don't think could come about if you had enough of this mineral. So, I mean, obviously, watch your diet, obviously move your body, get some amount of exercise, and try to get some amount of actual nutrition in. Don't just be eating prepackaged meals. If your diet is 100% prepackaged, denatured foods, all of which is going through the microwave, denaturing it further, then you are starving your body of all of the minerals it needs, all of the nutrients it needs, and come on. But if you are looking after your diet and you are getting some movement and you're still having an issue shedding adipose tissue, actually burning the fats, it could be very well due to the fact that you are low on this mineral, the mineral involved in the metabolism of fats. If we cannot metabolize, break down fats, we are going to have a backlog of fats. So things like jowls, double chins, just hanging flesh, these stockpiles of adipose tissue. If there is not an extremely obvious reason why they are there, you should be looking at this mineral to supplement, to give your body what it needs to metabolize these, to break them down. A very important mineral. Another surefire example of a sign of this deficiency is sweat that stains clothing yellow. If you're finding yellow stains on areas that you've been sweating, this is evidence of fats, lipids, grease being pushed out via the body, and this is due to an inability to metabolize these. This is due to a deficiency in this mineral. If you allow this state to go on further, the sweat will continue to get more and more acidic to the point where it will eat holes in your clothing. Holes will form under the arms, at the groin, anywhere you sweat profusely. When the sweat gets that acidic, it will eat holes in the clothing. Now that is a surefire sign that you are very low on this mineral, and this mineral is what your biology needs to bring relief for that. Without this mineral, I don't see any way you could rectify that situation. For wounds that are slow to heal, that could be another sign that your body is just running too acidic and it is interfering with basic biological functions. Another example of this mineral running low would be the condition of parasites, of worms in the body system. So worms, they actually love an acidic environment. And when the body gets acidic, it interferes with quite a broad range of things. So just the act of breathing itself, the exhale of carbon dioxide, it creates this secondary substance, carbonic acid. This is just carbon dioxide mixing with water. It creates carbonic acid. We can't help that. And the body will need this substance to rectify that. It needs nat phos to break down carbonic acid. If we don't, this is contributing to the body becoming anaerobic. The exhalation of carbon dioxide is paired with our ability to uptake oxygen. These two are just paired together. So if we interfere with one, we interfere with the other. So if the expression of carbon dioxide is lowered, which it will be if you are low on this mineral, then our ability to hold oxygen in body tissues is also lowered. So now we are in an acidic state and we are also anaerobic. This is perfect for parasites. So this is especially important for children. An itchy nose, an itchy bum, both of these signs of worms. If you are in this kind of state and you know that you have parasites, one option for getting, well, the true biological option for getting rid of this is simply to adjust your terrain. Humans can exist in a terrain bandwidth like this quite happily. Our pH can fluctuate in here and there's no real issue. The parasites, well, they have a terrain like this. They're a much, much, much smaller organism, and they can only exist in this narrow bandwidth. So all we need to do to cleanse ourselves of parasites is to adjust the body terrain into a state that is absolutely inhospitable for parasites. This just happens to be our perfect neutral, more alkaline state. So 3 or 4 days, maybe a little bit longer, supplementing the nat phos, and we'd want to be taking it at quite a good rate, say 2 to 3 tablets 4 to 6 times a day. This is going to give your body ample resources to neutralize the acids which are in the body fluids. And if we hold this state of perfect alkalinity, this has made your entire body inhospitable to parasites. This will kill them off. They cannot subsist in an alkaline environment. So all you need to do is hold that alkaline state for a few days on end and you will cleanse your biology of parasites. This is the natural way that we control parasites. Just think for a minute. If there was no natural way for you to cleanse parasites, how could we have evolved? How could we have gotten to where we are today that we now develop these pharmacological poisons to cleanse parasites? Caveman didn't have those. Caveman went out and ate some plants. That's how he dealt with parasites. The modern human being is much less in tune with their instincts than we used to be. An animal, when it has an ailment, will feel the instinctual drive to go and seek a certain plant, find a certain water source rich in minerals. It will scent the scent of what it needs to rectify that problem instinctually. Humans, we're too modern to rely on our instincts now. It's like what is not used will fade away. What is used will grow. We've not been using our instincts. We just use brain. We try to logic our way through everything these days. So we're not using our instincts anymore. We're not instinctually eating what the body is telling us to crave. We are, the muscle of instinct has become atrophied. So we're no longer instinctually eating. We're no longer managing our pH, our deficiencies through our cravings. Actually, nowadays, our cravings are generally our biggest enemies. I digress. So yeah. If there were no natural way for us to combat parasites, we wouldn't be here today. Parasites would have won. But there is. All we need to do is adjust the body terrain back to a perfect state, back to our true equilibrium, and the parasites cannot remain. They can't exist in that perfect state. As soon as we adjust our terrain outside the parameters of which the parasites can live in, they can no longer live in our terrain and they begin to die off. We hold this for a few days, we cleanse the infestation. This is a safe, natural way for you and your family to control these parasitic infections, these parasitic infestations. Okay, so facial tells for this mineral: oily skin, especially around the nose, the forehead, and the chin, just a general greasiness. You might notice your hair tends to get greasy very quickly. If you wear glasses, you could notice that whenever you touch the glasses, you tend to leave this kind of greasy film on the glass. These are all signs that you're having difficulty metabolizing the fats. And this mineral is the solve here. So for the double chin, like I spoke about, that excess of adipose tissue that we're having trouble breaking down, metabolizing, and restoring. Puffy cheeks. And there's something called an acidic mask, which is a redness that will spread from the center of the face. It might be a little bit more prominent on the chin, but this kind of an angry redness in the tissues of the face. This is a sure sign of excess acids making themselves known. The tongue could appear yellow at the back. You may find it a yellow-white coating over the whole tongue, and the tongue will appear quite wet. You could notice a sour or bitter taste in the mouth. All of these are signs of NAT/phos deficiency. The casts involved with this mineral, things you spit up. Anything honey yellow is a very sure sign of this deficiency. Yellow in general, well, no, it's definitely more of a honey yellow. It's like well, yeah, like honey. If it looks like honey, it's an acidic cast. And the casts themselves may have a kind of acidic taste to them. Other tells from this mineral: fatty foods, heavy meals, and sweets will all obviously aggravate, because all of these require this mineral to synthesize, to break down. If we don't have enough of this mineral, anytime we add more of those substances to the body, we're going to be adding more to the congestion, adding more to the problem, basically. And cold and damp are also going to aggravate with this mineral. So if the cold and the damp aggravate the conditions you are experiencing, and anytime you eat sweets or heavy meals, they aggravate your conditions, NAT/phos, you need more NAT/phos. And on the flip side to that, daylight will be soothing, and obviously avoiding sugar, protein, and meat will all be soothing to the conditions that are upsetting you if you are deficient in this mineral. So yeah, quite a broadly impactful mineral, because it's contained in all body fluids, all throughout the blood. The areas of effect of this mineral are quite broad. Now, just that astrologically, this mineral is tied to Libra, the balance mineral, which is just very fitting. It's the pH balance mineral. It ensures balance overall. Okay, so yeah, that's just a quick overview of the areas of effectiveness of this most powerful mineral. And in this day and age, like I mentioned, with the overabundance of sugar in everything, and also with the overabundance of denatured foods, this mineral is a very important one to keep an eye on. For infants as well, so many of the baby foods are denatured, which is very concerning. Children are prone to acidic conditions, also just due to the sugar-filled treats that they so very much love. I have a real sweet tooth, so I understand. So it's a wise one to keep on hand for relieving these conditions in infants too, in little ones, as well as yourself. So anybody who's struggling with metabolism in general, with indigestion in general, this mineral is a very important one. If you're struggling with losing weight, metabolizing the excess adipose on the body, this mineral is going to be hugely beneficial. Or if you're really healthy but just love working out and you don't really like the few days of the lactic acid pain, this mineral is going to be beneficial there too, just in quickening the healing time and just ensuring that that post-workout pain is only hanging around for as brief as it needs to. And this is going to hugely boost the amount that you can be working out too, because generally you're having to wait until things calm down before you re-aggravate again. Well, if you give your body the exact mineral it needs to break down these aggravating acids, well, then you do have the option to decrease the intervals at which you are waiting to work out again. So for overall metabolism and for overall just pH balancing, natrium phosphate, sodium phosphate, an extremely important mineral. So yeah, hopefully this has been helpful. If you'd like to read more on this mineral or any of the 12 primary biochemic minerals, just see the website, themineralbody.com, It's got loads of information on these 12 minerals and also information on dosage for you, your children, even your pets. And if you have any questions, just pop them in the comments below or find me on the website. Yeah. Alrighty. Thank you for watching and goodbye.